Family, what's going on? It's Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. This is Wake Up Bama for Monday, December 8th. And Alabama football, they are in the college football playoffs. Did you think they'd make it? Yes or no? Be honest inside the comment box. And as we get going with Wake Up Bama right here, give me your confidence level in Alabama beating Oklahoma in the rematch. High, mid, low, post it inside the comment box. How this podcast is going to work this morning, I'm going to go back and forth with Coach Kalen DeBoer and his comments as he spoke to the media Sunday after Alabama received a playoff bid to be on the road as a number 9 seed. So Coach Kalen DeBoer will go kind of back and forth as we usually do right here on Wake Up Bama, and we get Coach Kalen DeBoer's opening comments, and we'll go right to him.
Our program, getting a chance to have a berth in the CFP, the playoffs here, just something our guys been working for, going back really being in January. So 11 months and, the work paying off and everything we did this season leading to this opportunity. Obviously a team that we know well with Oklahoma, one that, came here and obviously was a battle, was a physical game and, came out on the wrong side, but looking forward to, third meeting in less than 2 years, or really probably 12 or 13 months. And so each team knows what to expect, know each other well, and know it'll be a hard-fought game.
All right. Thank you, Coach. We'll go ahead and start with Charlie Potter.
Before we get to the questions, this is a Zoom, so there's like a green screen, or I don't know what it was. So like people inside the comment box when he was posted up in that brown pinstripe suit were telling him to shave his head. I don't know if he shaved his head, but this green screen makes it look like he shaved his head. But anyways, let's get to the questions in the first one. Charlie Potter.
Yeah, hey, Coach. Just want to see if you had an update on Xavier Brown and Justin Jefferson. I know both those guys left the game last night. Just maybe an early outlook for this playoff game.
We haven't met and got the report, but just going off of last night, I would expect with the severity that they'll both be good to go with the whole week off here and stuff. So
let's go to Joe Gaither next.
That was Xavier Brown and Justin Jefferson. I think there's kind of a small injury report on this, but I think like Coach Kalen DeBoer probably hasn't even had time to assess some of the guys that have been out. So we'll write them down and we'll keep track of them. So Xavier Brown seems like he's going to be back, and then Justin Jefferson as well. All right, we continue with the next question.
Coach, with the matchup against Oklahoma, the rematch on deck, obviously it's set. What's the biggest thing that you're going to be looking at outside of the turnovers from the last matchup to improve upon?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Because that was a really important part of the game, the field position in general, and that's, you get to this point and you're playing the top tier teams. That's what it is, right? It's getting short field. It's making your own breaks, the turnovers, the special teams play. That's when, field position can be flipped the quickest. And so, I think just consistent execution. We moved the ball, but it wasn't as consistent as it needed to be. We were, maybe in the fourth quarter, not able to get that drive, and I haven't really gone back and reviewed the film, but it wasn't that long ago. So coming up short at the end of the game was disappointing because that's something we've done a pretty good job of. And so, other than the turnovers, because we got down in their territory and had the big play was the interception for a touchdown. But there's more plays to it than that. There's things that happen that, you'll go back to, but there's things that obviously we'll evaluate and make adjustments to what we saw and what the original plan was.
In that game against Oklahoma, I'm serious. Like, I'm not being like fancy here. Let me ask you this. I think in the 3 games that Alabama has lost this year, Florida State dominated them, right? They beat them up and down the field. Georgia beat Alabama up and down the field. Oklahoma did not beat Alabama up and down the field. It was Alabama had self-inflicted wound. They were still kind of playing pretty well at that point in time. Now, they're not playing that well right now, but Alabama beat themselves in that game. That's why I look at the playoff bracket and I'm like, man, kind of like where Alabama's bracket is. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me pull it up here. I like the bracket. I was thinking about this too. I'd much rather be on this half of the bracket rather than the bottom side, right? You got Georgia and Ohio State down here. I like my chances against Oklahoma. I know. I do, okay? And then going into this Indiana game, let's see where the chips fall. I know one game at a time, but I'm just saying it's a better bracket to be a part of than the bottom half. I don't know. We continue with Coach Kalen DeBoer.
Colin Gay up next.
Hey, Kalen. Saw a lot of Demani Jackson against Georgia. I would assume that Demani's season overall hasn't been how he thought it would go. How would you assess how he played yesterday and kind of how he's handled kind of the role that he's been in over the past, say, this season, I guess?
Yeah, as far as like the detailed grading of the film and things like that, haven't got to that. Watched it, since last night. The thing I'll say about Demani is it was a slow start this year, and just coming off of a lot of things that he was taking care of physically, and but I'll give Demani a ton of credit. The second half here, there's a lot of guys that. The rotation that we were working with Dijon coming in and playing more snaps. A lot of guys, could have handled a different way. And he just had the right mindset. He just went back to work. I couldn't be more proud of the way he responded. And knowing that he would be heavily involved, he knew that this was a great opportunity. And so I'm sure there's things, again, that we'll get to that you can do better. I think that would be the case anytime you have for sure a loss. But, I thought I'm really proud of the way he has responded this latter part of the season, the second half here. And so, he's been in the rotation. He'll continue to stay in it. And, I'm proud of him.
Demani Jackson, remember last night he had that booming hit on Frazier from the running back for Georgia. That guy got blown up, I think, one time from Demani and one time from Yanzi Pierre, if I remember correctly. Look, Alabama has so much quality depth, and there for a little bit, Demani, it seemed like he was kind of slumping in. It seems like, call me crazy, but it seems like on the defensive side, they're much more willing to kind of give other guys maybe some opportunities, whereas the offensive side, I think you kind of just have your starters. Thinking about that, maybe I'm off base here because they have kind of rotated some guys to the offensive line. I don't know. Would you like to see more kind of starters coming in and out, on the offensive side? Now, I haven't asked about the quarterback position. I don't really want to touch that on Wake Up Bama, but we will touch on that this week when we're kind of interacting because I do feel that kind of the trajectory of Ty Simpson right now, it's not going the way that we want. I've talked about that a couple different times. I'll bring up a graphic here after Coach Kalen DeBoer speaks to kind of spotlight Ty Simpson's play over the last 6 games. It's very interesting.
Okay, next we'll go to Matt Stahl.
Hey, Kalen. There's been a few teams that have opted to just take their name out of the bowl pool completely. Had you guys not made the field, was that something you guys had given any thought to?
No, we had never had that conversation. No.
Let's go to Chase Goodbread next.
And he's asking about that. The reporter's asking about that because did you see what Notre Dame did? I know Baylor. Those are 2 schools that said, look, like we don't want to play in a bowl game if we're not in the playoffs. More, Notre Dame bubble team, that kind of looked weak. Baylor said it was because they're kind of already going through a lot of offseason stuff. But for Notre Dame, really disappointed to see them play that card. It kind of reminds me of some things that Florida State did a couple years ago. Look, if you don't make the playoffs, the best thing to do, even though you're hurting and, you feel like the world is against you, is you don't make it about you. You make it about the team. Several hours after that, BYU was like, look, we're eager to go chase down another victory as a team. And that's kind of the direction that you want to. So I think Notre Dame, they became another villain. They really did. So you got, kind of your college football villains, which you need. You need Lane Kiffin. He's a villain. I think Notre Dame, they were a villain. And and up until Notre Dame joins a conference, it's going to be tough for these guys to get in, in a climate where you can only have 12 teams get in and you're already taking the top 5 unranked conference champions. Is Notre Dame better than James Madison and Tulane? Absolutely. But, these are the crazy rules that we have in the college football world. Hate to see it. I'd love to see Notre Dame play in a bowl game. How about Notre Dame versus Vandy? That would be one hell of a game. I was thinking about this. I was talking with my dad. How about, look, I know you come up with a different title But you call it like, you have the next best 8 or the next best 12 playing a tournament. You put it on TV. It's cash involved, something like that. That would be interesting, right? Would you watch like the next 8 or the next 12? There'd be some good football teams. Imagine like Notre Dame playing Texas and or like Miami playing Vanderbilt, or however you want to shake it out. Utah playing whoever. Those are some good matchups still. All right, we continue with Coach Kalen DeBoer. I'm still trying to look for that Ty Simpson graphic.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned last night that you guys were pretty banged up injury-wise. And would be good to go in a couple weeks. I'm sure the Georgia game itself dinged you up a little bit more. Just in general, do you think conference championship games present a disadvantage for participants having to play that 13th game late in the year when other teams that are behind you in the conference standings are just clear sailing into the playoff with only having to play the 12 games?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think I could probably answer that question right now, and then next year it'd be a different dynamic, and I might have a different answer for you. I know that we went into that game, we wanted to win it. It's been a traditional thing, and what I've told you all week long, or said all week long about the importance of this game to our program. I meant it. Obviously, Georgia did a great job, really controlling the tone of the game, really there with that. Once the block punt started, I felt like we were back and forth there. It was a physical game even right away, and trying to establish that both sides. And then the field position thing kicked in there with a couple of drives back to back with the punt and then the interception too. And so I think getting back to your question, it's such a valued thing here, especially in the SEC, to win the conference championship and to be in that moment, be in that platform. Obviously, we on the wrong end of it, but that's something that's above me. We'll have to continue to evaluate that, but I think I still want to have that be a part of it. And the question I think mainly is like, how is it going to impact you and us being in the playoff? Hopefully gives people, hope that you can continue to have these conference championships, maybe tweak a few things to make sure you got the right teams in them each and every year, kind of think about other conferences and that it can mean something both in that moment and also, have a positive impact or, what you think it should be going to the playoff.
I mean, look, I feel like if you have to play that extra game, yeah, it's great because like the SEC, you want that title belt. But man, Alabama's banged up and Georgia was banged up. Does it put you at a disadvantage from like a health standpoint? Yeah, but I'm glad that the committee didn't penalize Alabama for, maybe some of the guys being hurt. Maybe they took some of that into consideration, it sounds like, because, I mean, part of the principles is having to look at which guys are available and which guys will be better if the team kind of comes together, in 12 more days. So I think in that particular case, it was a good thing to play in the conference championship game. It didn't help Alabama, but, like Coach Kalen DeBoer said, maybe that changes in the future. There's one graphic that I wanted to show you about Ty Simpson and kind of the trajectory, that he's been, kind of on later on in the season. So I showed this during the college football playoff show, but check this out. I broke it up into 2 boxes. So I have the green box, which is the good Ty Simpson, and the red box where he's kind of been on the struggle bus. The red little buttons right here, they indicate, blemishes on Ty Simpson. So, for example, threw an interception against Vanderbilt, sacked 4 times, right? Total 8 within the first 7 games. Now, the last 6 games have been a completely different story. You see a lot more blemishes, right? And you're playing better defenses. However, there's a lot more blemishes, right? South Carolina, 55% completion, okay? Oklahoma, you lost, threw an interception, sacked 4 times. Eastern Illinois, threw 2 interceptions. I know one of them was a Hail Mary, but still. Auburn, 54%. Sacked 3 times. Georgia, right, took the L, only 48% completion percentage, 1 interception, sacked 3 times. So, those numbers right there tell me that you're playing better defenses. Like Oklahoma defensive-minded coach Brett Venables, DJ Durkin, he's a defensive-minded guy. Kirby Smart, he's a defensive-minded guy. You've been going up against some elite defenses, but you've also been on the struggle bus. You got to be able to figure out how to dig out of that. Can you do that? Does Alabama need to go to a different quarterback to be able to get that done? I know that question makes you nervous and maybe uncomfortable because you want to ride with the guy. I'm not saying that Ty isn't the guy, but the offense needs a spark. The offense needs to match the defense, okay? The defense wins championships, yeah, okay? But you need, like, right now, Alabama, I feel, is like fighting with like just one hand and playing, good defense. But imagine if you could swing with both, right? Imagine if you can move around. I just feel like something is not clicking with the offense. And that's what's wrong with Alabama football. It's the offense, 100%. What's wrong with Alabama right now? The easy answer is probably, they're banged up. Come on, man. This is Alabama. You have guys. You have guys on this team, okay? You have plenty of talent in the 2 deep to be performing like this. Now, Georgia, I get it. Georgia took you to the woodshed. But you've had opportunities to get other guys in on the offensive side. I think injuries is – yeah, that's understandable, but I also think it's kind of like a cop-out, all right? I think you have guys to get the job done, and something's not going on. Is it scheming? Is it inaccuracy? Is it drop passes? Is it a combination of all that thing? You know what I was thinking about? And I was talking with my buddy about this. Jamarcus Shepard just took one of the quarterback coaches with him, and I'm kind of wondering if that has interrupted Alabama's quarterback room a little bit. I don't know. All right, we continue with Coach Kalen DeBoer.
Okay, next we'll go to Katie Wyndham.
Yeah, hey, Kalen, just kind of what have the last 24-ish hours been like for the team, and kind of what was the reaction to getting in the field, their seating, and did, the guys watch the show together, and kind of just how did all of that go down?
Yeah, no, game with it just being last night, they were certainly down, poured a lot into that. That's one of our goals from the beginning of the year. Just when you don't control your own destiny now and you're putting it in someone else's hands. I know there's so many good teams in the country. You don't know. And so we did not, and this was from the beginning, we did not have anything set up for today. We're meeting tomorrow morning at 9:00. And so, there's things that we have where we can communicate with the team. And I just know that their response has been a lot of excitement. As down as they were last night, I think they're excited and ready for the next opportunity because they know that this is the next goal, the next one in the chronological line, competing in the playoffs and what that can mean with a potential national championship opportunity. That's where we're at. But, I can't wait to see him tomorrow and we can talk about it. But I haven't seen the team since last night.
Okay, we'll go to Nick Kelly. Nick, you there? Go ahead. Okay, let's just move past Nick.
Got to unmute Nick.
Okay, says Mike's not working. Nick, just go ahead and type your question in the chat and I'll ask it for you. Let's go to Josh McDaniel with OU Daily next.
Yeah, so OU's Eli Bowen had a big pick six the last game, and then even last year in 24, he had an interception too. And so between him and then also other OU defensive players, how do you think the offensive scheme can be changed a bit to prevent OU from having big defensive plays?
Yeah, I think, every game you play, 1 year to the next, and obviously this one's happening in a shorter amount of time. There's always things you're going to tweak and learn from. We moved the ball much better this year in different ways, and we'll take some of those things and build off of them, and then we just again got to understand what really hurt us and how we got to counter that. So. Those turnovers, the interceptions that you're referring to, huge plays. And, that we always talk about you create your own breaks and make your own breaks by playing hard and playing smart and playing fast. And that's certainly what Coach Venables has, with his team and as you're referring to the defense. And so one of the best in the country, and I think it's what you got here is you got two really strong defense that look across the the playoffs and the picture there. I think the defenses certainly that you have each and every week are strong. Looks like across the country in the playoff field.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I picked up from Coach Kalen DeBoer, I mean, he didn't directly say it, but Alabama did move the football very well against Oklahoma. I mean, last year they didn't, and this year they did. Ty Simpson threw for 326 yards against Oklahoma. Let's not forget that. I think, like I always say, interceptions for Alabama are like dog years. They count for 7, right? So every time Ty Simpson throws an interception, it's like he threw 7 of them. That's just because 8 million people watch Alabama play. It was terrible. It was a pick 6, but let's not forget that Alabama did move the football. And I think if you're Oklahoma, I'm like, okay, yeah, we came up with a turnover that was costly. We got pressure on Ty, which was, a good thing, but the guy also threw for 326 yards on us.
Okay, Coach, I'm going to ask Nick's question for him. You expressed optimism about several guys who've been returning, and he wanted to ask specifically about LT Overton, Jam Miller, and Josh Cuevas. Do you expect all 3 to be available for Oklahoma?
Yeah, I don't know exactly on that. I know there's Jam, I feel, is probably the farthest along if I really kind of put that kind of in order. Feel really that he's got a really strong chance of being not just available, but ready to go at a level he can compete and do some good things for us. And Josh will he's on his way. He's kind of just got to keep evaluating with him. I'm holding on to some pretty good hope, but we'll see. He hasn't seen our training staff yet today. But every day here now, the next 4 or 5 days, they all matter. They all matter for all these guys. And then we'll continue to evaluate just where LT's at and, add Kelby Collins to the mix there too with some of their illnesses and stuff like that they're going through. So I'm optimistic on a lot of these guys. I think the other part is just so many guys that in the last 2 to 3 weeks have even go back to the Oklahoma game. A number of our guys got dinged up and, just grinding through it. Some of the guys, I don't think if it was someone else, they probably wouldn't have played, but our guys wanted to get out there last night and go compete, do everything they could to help the team out.
Okay, let's go to, we have a follow-up from Charlie Potter. Go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah, Coach, just when you look at the offense, maybe how concerning is it that the run game hasn't been able to get going with the -3 yards against Georgia? Obviously, Georgia has a good defense, but going into a matchup with another stout defense, how concerning is maybe the offensive trends here of late?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think a lot of that is getting some guys healthy, not just running backs, but, offensive line. And I think that the next, Cam Dewberry will be back. We lost Gino last night, but he'll be back just based on that evaluation there. And I think, Parker, where he'll be, he improved quite a bit from the Auburn game. And with this time, I would expect him pretty much at 100% going into the Oklahoma game. So that's a big deal. It's a big deal there. And so I think those things you build off of. The game, gets away from you last night and the second half, I know it wasn't like we were moving it there in the first half either, that the way you want, but it really gets away from you. And then, something that we didn't have established in the first half just becomes something you really can't get going at all in the second.
Okay, next we'll go to Emily Grace McWhorter. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach, we talked a lot about going into the Georgia game, how it's just a lot different preparing for a team that you saw in week 4 because you're just going to have different improvements, different regressions. You guys just saw OU less than a month ago. Are there any benefits that come along with that as you guys prepare? And if so, what are those benefits?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you have a much better idea of, and you watch the film, we all get that. So even with the Georgia rematch, that was something you can kind of see the growth of their team, what our team has had as far as growth. But like you said, it's certainly much tighter as far as the timeline here. And so you have a better understanding, and again, I'm sure some guys that were dinged up for them, probably just knowing, the schedule and how we all are at that point of the year. I'm sure, Oklahoma's looking to get some guys back, including, probably a continued stronger quarterback with Mateer, and so I know that that's the case, the thing that draws a lot of attention on their end, but, we're looking forward to this rematch.
Okay, we got another follow-up, this time from Colin Gay.
Hey, Kalen. I know you were asked about Ty specifically last night, but what was your post game, your conversation like with him post game, in terms of, I guess, continuing to encourage him as he struggles and kind of, as you guys prepare for this next step? What have you seen from his demeanor? What have you seen from his, I guess, outlook on how he's played as of late?
Yeah, not a lot of time. I don't see him. They go to the plane as soon as they got done with the press conference. I go do some radio and other things like that, and literally they're waiting for me on the plane. When I get there, we land, and so it's just a matter of just real quick, keep your head up, and we got this. A couple small things can lead to big things, and we don't need to make it bigger than it is. And we just got to keep chipping away, much like I talked about weeks ago with the run game. I know I didn't show it last night, but there was a lot of improvement in what I look at the Oklahoma game and the Auburn game. We were one of the top 3 teams in rushing in SEC games against both of those teams. And so, being persistent and just staying the course, addressing things, you do have to acknowledge and address and be truthful. But small things, and sometimes it's not just you, it's everyone around you, just everyone picking up their game and doing their part. That can go a long ways to a much higher level of success that I know we all expect.
Yeah, I think in talking about Ty Simpson, I think I can go back real quick to that graphic that I had where, you're showing the last couple of games of Ty Simpson, how he's played in those particular games. As I mentioned, you see Oklahoma 28 of 42, 326 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, was effective against the Sooners in that particular game. Last couple of games hasn't been so much. And I kind of wonder and my question is to you inside the comment box, do you think Ty's kind of living inside his head? Meaning that he kind of dwells on things and it kind of just affects his overall play. I just really want to get into like what is happening with Alabama at the quarterback position, because it's so dire, right? I mean, the first 7 games, he was balling out of control. And now it's just a complete struggle bus. I get the competition that you're playing with, but man, like simple throws to the outside on swing routes or, deep ball accuracy, it just doesn't seem to be what it used to be with Ty Simpson. I guess that's it from Coach Kalen DeBoer. Yeah. So kind of that's where we stand, going into, this first matchup with Alabama taking on Oklahoma. It's a good bracket. And as I said, I think my initial takeaway is, okay, you got the rematch in, and I love the top half of the bracket where Alabama is. Is it a winnable game? Yes, it's a winnable game. I think Alabama's even favored by 1.5 early on. I saw the field today at Oklahoma, and there was some snow on it. I did some weather research real quick. It looks like it's going to be some pretty good temperatures out at Norman, but again, it's December 7th, and the game is December 19th. So how do you feel about a Friday night game? Friday night under the lights? That's going to be something to watch for sure. When's the last time? Here's your trivia question, okay? This is your trivia question as I put an end to the podcast. When is the last time Alabama played a Friday night game, and what was the result? Sound off inside the comment box. Hey, fam, I'll catch you live at 10 a.m. We got a lot of stuff to talk about this Monday right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I love y'all. Thanks for watching. If you like Wake Up Bama, type I love Wake Up Bama inside the comment box and hit me with that trivia question. I'll catch you at 10 a.m. right here on Bama Football on YouTube.